Thanks so much for joining me for yoga class today. Today's class, we are going to be incorporating all of the postures with yoga blocks. So I've got two different sizes. One size is the standard height for the block. And then we've got the jumbo block. So these are a little bit larger. I tend to use these in my practice, but depending on what you have at home, either one could work. You might just find different sizes more comfortable depending on the type of posture. So, yoga with blocks. A yoga block is a very helpful prop in your practice to enhance your practice. Blocks help us to extend our reach. So if we're trying to reach the ground and we're not quite there, we can position the block to bring the floor up to us. This is also helpful in standing postures like triangle pose, for example, which we'll explore today. And also, besides helping to extend our reach, blocks can support us when we're in more grounding postures. So we'll try some of those as well towards the end of our class. You can try these postures also without the blocks and then just see what you prefer. Maybe the blocks are helpful, maybe you've got this without the blocks. It'll depend on each posture. So let's get started. We'll come onto our feet in a standing position for our breath work. Just opening the feet, maybe rocking towards the toes and then back. Finding yourself centered, maybe lifting the toes, spreading them wide and replacing them down. Arms are by your sides, palms are facing forward. Now try really hard to relax your shoulders away from your ears. We have a tendency to creep the shoulders up, so really let them drop down. You might take some shoulder rolls to help you get there, but just imagining that you've got a weighted blanket on top of your shoulders. After the next circle, we'll let the shoulders come down and stay there. Now, close your eyes, bring your gaze inward and focus on your breath. Take a deep inhalation through the nostrils. Exhale, open the mouth, release. And again, inhale deeply through the nostrils. Exhale, big sigh of relief. And again. Invigorating breaths. Now from here, start to just find your way to your natural breath, the way that you breathe without force or control. If you notice that you're locking out your knees, you might want to just take some little hops and bounces, just kind of micro bending the knees. You can also pull your belly button in towards your spine. And this is going to help with the low back. Continuing with your natural breath. And as you explore this breath, notice if there's space to lengthen. And let this time of breath work be a transition from the start of your day into your practice. Letting everything else go and just meeting yourself on the mat. Allowing yourself this time to get creative with the blocks and try some new things. Take another full round of breath here. Exhale, let go. Gently start to flutter the eyes open. Now grabbing onto one of your blocks, whatever you have handy, we're going to position the block in a standing forward fold. So we're going to position the block between the thighs and the chest. So to start off, I recommend taking the feet hip distance, looking down to make sure there's about 6 inches between your feet. Then hold the block to the thighs, start to roll over. You might find it more comfortable at first to bend your knees. And then once you feel like you are squeezing the block between your belly and your thighs, then you can let your arms dangle. Option to let the arms dangle or take hands to opposite elbows, framing the head with the arms. Just allowing your body to be in a ragdoll position. If the legs are straight, you'll feel into the hamstrings. And here we're stretching the entire back of the body, decompressing the spine. Maintaining the block between your thighs and your
belly, you might start to bring the arms to one side and then the other, exploring the movement. If you really like this, you can stay longer. But we're going to start to transition out, coming into another movement. So first, release your elbows, let your arms dangle. Take your hands to the block. Bend the knees and slowly start to roll up to a standing position, holding on to the block, bringing it with you. And as you rise up in the standing position, just pause, take a full round of breath here. Get re-grounded at the feet. Exhale, let go. Now looking down to your feet, heel toe the feet wider so your toes come to the edges of the mat, heels are in. From here, we're going to take a squat position, lowering down. Now you might support your seat with the block. If this is a new posture for you, you might prefer this. If you are familiar with Malasana, you might not use the block at all. You might lower your seat down to the mat. Then you can bring your palms together, thumbs to your heart center. Open the knees with the elbows. Allow the hips to open and the low back to release. Remember, you can use the prop or not. Block under your seat or hovering. Now, another thing you can do is you can gently shift weight into the toes on the inhale breath and then gently shifting on the exhale breath to the heel. So this is a little micro movement, not much going on, just exploring. And then from here, whether you're on the block or not, bring your hands down. Lift your hips. Come back into the fold. Bring those toes in. And then from here, bend the knees. Roll up to a standing position. And then you can heel toe the feet back to hip distance. So now we're coming into downward facing dog. And for downward facing dog, I'm going to take the blocks underneath my hands. So you want to position the blocks where your hands can meet them, thinking under the shoulders. You might bring the heel of the hand closer to the edge of the block. Walk the feet back and then send the hips back. Notice how that feels in your arms. Breathe for another round of breath, maybe two. Maybe rock the hips from side to side. Notice how it feels to have the blocks under the hands. And now we're going to try without the blocks, and we'll position one block between the thighs. So now as the hands ground down in down dog position, we're actively squeezing the block between our thighs to hold it in place, activating the thighs in our down dog. Remember, you can bend the knees if you need to for your hamstrings. Slowly start to walk your hands towards your feet. Inhale, find a half lift. And exhale, fold. Stay here. And then roll up. Taking our time, taking care of our body with our transitions. This is our practice. We don't need to rush it. We get this time to practice in our body. Let's enjoy it. All right, so moving on to our next pose. Now we are going to come into triangle pose. So for this posture, I recommend starting off with both of your feet at the top of the mat, hip distance. Then you're going to lift one foot. So I'm taking the right foot to lift and then step back. Now, as I step that foot back, my left toes are facing the short end of the mat, and then the pinky edge of my foot is facing the back end of the mat. Now, the block is going to go to the inside of that front ankle, that left ankle. Then we lift the arms to center, reach the left fingers forward, and then rotate the arms so that your bottom hand, your left hand, comes onto the block. Right fingers are reaching up. Now, notice if you're collapsing, open the heart and maybe gaze up to the ceiling. Hold and breathe. Notice the sensation that you're feeling at the right side body and the left inner thigh. Now we are going to transition from triangle to revolved triangle. So to do this, we're going to lower that right hand down to the block. As the right hand comes onto the block, release the left hand. Now, twist. You might need to take that block wider. Twist to the left. Reach those left fingers up. Revolve triangle. And as you come out, bring that left arm down, reach the arms up, take your block with you. We're going to take it to the other side. So we'll bring those left toes in so that all 10 toes are facing the same direction. Now swivel those right toes to the back of the mat. So now the right toes are facing the short end, the pinky side of the left foot is facing the other short end. Position the block right to the inside of your ankle, and for both of these options, we're having the block to the highest height. Now, if the skinnier block feels wobbly, you can practice with the wider block. So let's actually do that for this side. Wider block, a little more surface area, that might be more comfortable. Now, remember, legs are straight, fly the arms. Reach the right fingers forward and then rotate the arms. So now the right hand comes to the block, left fingers are reaching up. Remember, open your heart. Gaze up to the ceiling. But if that hurts your neck, you can turn your head and look down to your foot. And just like we did on the other side, we're going to transition from triangle to revolved triangle. So that left hand comes down, finds the block. Right hand releases from the block. Remember, you might want to take that block a little wider so the block is under the shoulder. Now you're going to reach the right fingers up, twisting to the right. Hold, breathe, and feel. And then that right hand comes down. Use your energy to rise up. Turn those right toes same direction as left and start to heel toe the feet back towards each other. All right, we've got one more standing position. This is going to be chair pose. Your block is going to go between your thighs. So you're actively squeezing the thighs together just like you did in that second down dog option. So again, building strength in the thighs, squeezing them together, holding the block in shape. Now, from here, coming into chair pose, we'll sit back as if we're looking for a chair. This is Utkatasana. Maybe graze the fingertips. Reach the arms forward and then up. Maybe sitting a little lower in your chair pose. Really squeezing the thighs together. Looking down to the knees, making sure the knees aren't coming past the toes. Take another full round of breath here. You've got this. And then exhale, press to standing. Just pause. Take a full round of breath here. Notice how the thighs feel. Exhale, let go. Remove the block from between the thighs. Know that we are going to change the station of our body from standing down into a kneeling posture of child's pose. So find your way onto the mat. You might start off by inhale, reaching the arms up, and then exhale, take the hands down. Step one foot back at a time, coming onto the shins. And think about what you are wanting in your child's pose. So I'm going to demonstrate with knees apart, big toes together for hip opening. If you rather focus on the flexion of your back and decompressing the spine, then you can bring your knees together, feet together. Now, where the blocks come in handy here is that we're going to have them underneath the hands at the lowest height. So go ahead and position the blocks where you think your hands are going to land. Try to keep your hips low towards your heels, and then take your hands to your blocks. Adjust if you need to, and then lower your forehead down to the mat. Notice how that feels on your shoulders. You might send your elbows down, or you might keep the elbows lifted for activation. So try both. See what you like. See what's working for you. Child's pose, a great posture to calm the nervous system, help you sleep better at nighttime, down regulating. Gently starting to come out. Know that you don't have to use the blocks for this one. You can simply bring the hands down, especially if you want things to be more passive. And if you want to relax the shoulders, you can bring the arms by your sides. Taking the work out of the shoulders, really grounding down. Feeling the belly expand with each inhalation. And feel the belly soften with each exhalation. Next inhale, rise up. As you rise up, find that straight spine, crown of the head up towards the sky. Now this next posture that we're going to take is a little more active. It's puppy pose. This is going to be a deep one for the shoulders. So if you have a shoulder limitation or injury, you're probably going to want to opt out of this one. If your shoulders are good to go, no issues, then you can try this. So for our puppy pose, we're going to start off in tabletop. So we're bringing our hands to the mat, wrist under the shoulders, knees under the hips, arms are straight. We can take a few rounds of breath here. Inhale, belly softens. Exhale, lift the back. Inhale, belly softens. Exhale, lift the back. Come back to a neutral tabletop position. Now, the lower half of your body is going to stay the way it is. The hands are going to reach forward. So again, take your hands to your blocks and then see if you can bring your forearms to the blocks, but at the same time, keep your hips above your knees. Now, we want to get those elbows onto the blocks next, so you might need to adjust where they are. Bring your palms together, and then think about lowering your chest and your forehead down to the mat as you bring your hands behind your head in prayer position. Feel all that tightness and congestion between the shoulder blades. Squeezing out. Remember, if this hurts your shoulders, then you might want to come out of this. Pay attention to your body and what it's telling you. And to safely and carefully and slowly come out, think about lowering the forearms down, lift the head, press hands to the blocks, and then come back into your child's pose. Hold here, take a full round of breath. Inhale deeply through the nostrils. Exhale, open your mouth, let it go. Take your feet to one side, coming onto your seat. And know that we're going to now have a block underneath our backs. So for this one, I do recommend the skinnier blocks if you have it, because the thicker blocks are going to be a lot for your spine. Basically, we're putting the spine of the block underneath our spine from the mid back to the upper back. We don't want the block on our neck or our low back. So I like to position it where I think my spine is going to go. And then the second block can be to support your head, especially if you've got any issues with your neck. You don't need that second block, but we'll leave it there just for an option. Now we're going to face away from the block. This is our supported fish pose. Holding onto the block with one of your hands, start to roll back. Feel the block under your spine. Continue to roll back. Maybe your head meets that other block. Maybe it's fine on the floor. You can extend your legs. And then you've got the option to open your arms out, bringing your wrist in line with your shoulders. It feels really nice when you can get the corners of the block underneath the shoulder blades. So feel free to wiggle around and modify to make that happen. And just give yourself time here. This is a great way to open your heart with a chest opener. Opening the heart physically. Emotionally cultivating love and compassion. The heart energy center is called Anahata. Notice if you're holding tension in the arms, and allow yourself to relax the arms down. Bring all of your awareness to your breath, how you're breathing in this moment.
Take an opportunity to deepen the breath if possible. Relax. Let the block do the work. That's what it's here for in our class today. Our helpful prop to help us get into the poses a little deeper, a little more supportive. Wherever your attention went, come back to your breath. And slowly start to bring your arms back down by your sides. Lift your shoulders, press your palms to the mat, and lift yourself off of both of those blocks. Take them out to the side so they're about midway on the mat. And then from here, we'll lower down onto our back. I'm just taking several rounds of breath with this neutral spine. Feeling our entire body grounded down. Find your breath. Deepen each inhalation. Practice exhaling slowly. Now reaching your hands to grab for your blocks, we're coming into a supported Supta Baddha Konasana. So we'll bend the knees, bring the soles of the feet together, position the blocks underneath the thighs. Knees are splayed open, arms are resting by your sides, or you can take your hands to your belly. If your hands are resting on your belly, as you inhale, you'll feel the belly pressing to the hands. And as you exhale, you'll feel the belly soften. At the same time, working with hip opening, external rotation. The blocks are supporting the thighs so that you're not holding your legs up, you're not holding on to tension. We need to not have tension in order to actually stretch. So use the blocks. If you don't have blocks, you can make fist and position the fist underneath your thighs. I'll show you what that looks like just in case. And also remember to get creative in your space. If you don't have blocks yet, no worries. A lot of people use things like pillows or folded up blankets, foam rollers, lots of different things that you can use in your home space. So just see what's serving you. In the case of a posture like this, you would want two props that are the same height to support equally on both sides. Back to breath awareness. Let's take one more full round of breath. Let it go. Remove the blocks, set them out to the side so that they're still at your hand's reach. Lift the knees up, bring the soles of the feet to the mat, slide the heels towards your glutes. Reach your arms down, so maybe you graze your fingertips to your heels. Now we're gonna come into a supported bridge pose. We'll need one block. I suggest taking the block to the middle height. So to come into it, you'll lift your hips, position the block underneath your sacrum, extend your arms. Notice if this feels wobbly. So another option you can do is you can take two blocks and take them to the lowest height so there's more surface area. So finding your sacrum, if you have a waistband on your pants, think about the block going towards the glutes rather than up towards the low back. Now, as you find the comfortable positioning of your blocks, let the arms rest down, feel into your body.
If you notice a pinching sensation in your low back, then that's an indication for you to wiggle the blocks around to get to a space where you don't feel that discomfort. Another option we can take to really open up the psoas at the front of the hips is to extend the legs one at a time, bringing the heels to the mat. Now we're able to get a deep opening at the psoas. This is a great option to take if you spend a lot of time sitting in a chair, helping to stretch that tight psoas. Psoas is known as the muscle of the soul. It's the place in our body where we hold on to the emotion of fear. So if you've been feeling a lot of fear, this is your opportunity to start to work with letting that emotion arise. Sometimes we hold things, we suppress things. The yoga practice helps us to let some of that stuff go. Now, if you're trying with the legs extended and this is just a little too much for you, you can bend one knee at a time. So if you're taking that option, go ahead. I'll let you know when it's time to switch over to the other side. Remember, let the arms ground down. Just let the arms relax. You can always bend both knees if you prefer. Nice deep stretch. Wherever your thoughts are, come back to your breath. If you've got one leg extended and the other knee bent, it's time to switch it up. So we'll bend the knee, extend the opposite leg. Settle in, feel, breathe. Remember, if this is not working for you, if it's a little too much, then you'll want to bend both knees. If it's not enough of a stretch, then you'll want to extend both legs. 3 different options. I suggest trying all 3 and then seeing what's working in your body. Just a few more rounds of breath before we come out. And now we'll bend both knees. Pause there. Give yourself a full round of breath. And then press your feet to the mat. Lift your hips. Slide the block or blocks from underneath. Roll down to the mat. Neutral spine. Come back to the breath. Exhale, let go. Now you can keep your knees bent. If you suffer from low back issues, it might feel comfortable to open the feet wide and then let the knees drop in towards each other. We are coming into time for Shavasana, so maybe you extend your legs, creating space between the legs, maybe starting off by circling the big toes, feeling mobility in the ankles, and then circling around opposite direction. And then just send the arms out to the side so there's space at the armpits. Let the feet relax. Let the palms rotate facing up if you've been needing to receive energy. Or let the palms face down if you need more grounding. Now, as you come into your Shavasana, know that this is an option, but it's a pretty important option to round out your practice. I recommend taking this for 8 minutes today, following our yoga with blocks practice. Close your eyes and tuck your chin towards your chest, lengthening the cervical spine. Now, because everyone has different preferences,
We are going to close our practice together here today. You can decide if you want to stay here for 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes. This is totally up to you. You might even doze off and take a little nap and get some really deep relaxation. The choice is yours. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today, for allowing me to guide you. It's my honor to share this beautiful practice with you. Namaste.